Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make this. I made it a crossbody bag, but you can adjust the handle and make it any size that you want, or put two handles on it, or whatever you want to do. So it's a really easy stitch to do. It's just got shells and chains, so it's super easy. It's a real long handle. And I'll set that to the side, and I'll show you what I used. I used Red Heart with Love for this, which is a 100% medium weight 4-ply acrylic. You don't have to use this brand. Any 4-ply yarn will work. And there's 180 yards per skein, and I used 2 skeins, so we're going to need, I just have a little bit left, so close to 350 yards for this bag. And the color I used is, let's see if I can find it. Oh, Delightful. It's just a variegated yarn. And then I used a size I, which is a 5.5mm crochet hook. And you're also going to need a button. This button's about 1.5 inches, and it's wood, but you can use any type of button that you want. And you want to start off with a chain of 50. The stitch is done in a multiple of 5, so if you want to make it bigger or smaller, do it in a multiple of 5. But you want, for my size, I started with a chain of 50. Now I already got my big piece done, so I'm going to show you on a little bit smaller of a scale. But once you get your chain of 50 done, you want to go ahead and do a double crochet in the 7th stitch from the hook. And remember, we do not count the one that's on our hook. So count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the 7th one, we're going to do a double crochet. We're actually going to put a shell right here. So we're going to put 5 double crochets in the same stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to skip 4 stitches. So skip the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the next one, we'll do that shell again. We'll put 5 double crochets in that same stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, we're going to skip 4 stitches. So skip the next 4, skip, 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 and in the next one, 5 double crochets again. So we'll do that shell again. And that's the repeat till you get to the end of the row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the next one, go ahead and put 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you skip the next 4, and in the next one, put 5 double crochets, and you want to do that till you get to the end. Okay, when you make it to the end, you should have 3 stitches left and 9 shells total. So when you get to the end and you have your 3 stitches, go ahead and skip 2, and then just do 1 double crochet into the last stitch. Just like that. Okay, now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to put 1 single crochet right back here into the same stitch, like that. Now we're going to make a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're going to jump over to the next, right in between the next 2 shells, right in this space. I'm just going to go right through it and single crochet through the space. Just like that. And then we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and single crochet right here into the space between the next 2 shells, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet right here between the space of the next 2 shells, and then we chain 5, and we're just going to repeat this until we get to the end of the row. Single crochet into between the next space and between the next 2 shells. Okay, when you make it to the end, go ahead and do a chain 5 at the last space, and then you just want to single crochet into the top of this of your turn chain here. So right in the top of it, you just single crochet, just like that. And now we're going to chain 3 and turn, and we're going to do our rows of shells again. But what we're going to do is pull the chain forward, and we're going to do a shell in the 3rd stitch of this shell, so the middle stitch right here. So what we're going to do is just yarn over, go right into it, and do 5 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, oops, 4, and 5, and then we're going to jump to the next shell and pull the chain forward, and then the 3rd chain or the middle stitch of this shell, we're going to do another shell, so 5 double crochets, 1, my yarn's all tangled up, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can see by pulling the chains up, and then when we push them back, they're in front of it. So that's what we want to do. So we go to the next one, pull the chain up, and in the middle stitch of this shell, we'll do another shell, and we're just going to repeat this until we get to the end of the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like that. And then when you pull the chains up, that's what it starts to look like. So go ahead and repeat that pattern until you get to the end of the row. And then when you make it to the end, you just did your last shell, we're going to do a double crochet in that chain 1 space from the previous row. So just go ahead and double crochet right into that chain 1, like that. And that is what it looks like, and that's kind of all it is now. It's just a repeat of those last 2 rows. So we'll start our chain row again by chaining 1 and turning, and then we single crochet right back into that same stitch, and then we chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we single crochet right here in between the next 2 shell stitches, chain 5, single crochet right here in between the next 2 shell stitches, so right through that big space, chain 5, single crochet again in between the next 2 shell stitches, and we just repeat that one to the end of the row. When you make it to the end, do your last chain 5, and then you just want to single crochet right here into the top of this turn chain here, just like that. And then we start our row of shells again by chaining 3, and then we turn our work and we pull the first chain down, and we're going to do our shell in the 3rd stitch or the middle stitch of the shell. So we just do chain, or we do 5 double crochets. So we're just going to repeat these 2 rows till we get the bag, as long as we need it to be to have a flap, and you can do as many rows as you want. Okay, I got my big piece done, and I'll show you what I did here. Just the shells, just counting the shell rows, I did a total of 29 of the shell rows. So 1, 2, 3, not counting the chain space rows. So if you got 29 rows of shells, and then I just did, this is my 29th row, and I did a chain row after that, and I'm going to do one more row of shells. I'm going to do it with a picot stitch on it, and I'm going to make the button loop on this row too. So I'm just going to I did my last chain here, and I single crocheted there in the top of that chain 3, just like normal. Now I'm going to chain 3 again and turn. Now it's going to be done the same, except for I'm going to add a picot in the middle stitch. So go ahead and get your middle stitch of the shell like normal, and do 1 double, 2 doubles, 3 doubles. I'm going to do a picot on the 3rd double crochet. So on the 3rd double, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to go down, and I always slip stitch right here in this top loop and in the side loop here like that. Usually I think you just go back and slip stitch into the very first chain space for that, but I always do that, and that puts that little ball on the end. And now I'm going to go ahead and finish doing my 2 more double crochets in that stitch. So that's how we're going to do the shells on this last row, just to make it look a little different on the last row. So I'm going to jump over to my next one, pull my chain space back, find my middle stitch, and do my 5 doubles, but on the 3rd one I'm going to put my picot. So there's 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to come back down and grab that loop and that loop and slip stitch, and now I'm going to finish putting my last 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, like that. Now I'm going to jump to my next one, and do it again. One, 2, 3, and I'm going to chain 3, and then go back down and slip stitch like that, and then do my 2 more double crochets like that. Okay, I want to have 4 of these in a row, and on the 5th one I'm going to do my buttonhole. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 more here, and the next one we'll do our buttonhole. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to chain 3, go back down and slip stitch, and then do 2 more to finish out that 5, like that. Okay, so you did 4 in a row. Now the next one is going to be our buttonhole shell, because it's our middle shell, since we had 9 shells across. So go ahead and jump on over here and do our shell, but on the 3rd one we're going to make a chain instead of a picot. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to make a chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let me see here. A chain of 12, and then what I'm going to do is just slip stitch it in the same spot like it's one big picot. So right back just like we were slip stitching before, like that. And now I'm going to finish out my other 2 double crochets to finish out that shell. There's 1 and 2, and that is going to be our chain for our button that we sew on at the end. Now I'm just gonna finish this row out, making my last 4 shells just like I did these until I get to the end. Okay, once you made it back across with the shells, you just want to finish with a double crochet here, like always in that turn chain, and then you can tie off like that, just like that. Now we're going to sew it together, and I'm going to sew it together with just a yarn needle and a piece of yarn. Neatly sew it down the sides. So you can hide that tail if you want. I'll hide it in a little bit. I'm just going to flip it over here for now and fold the bottom up and the top down here. Get it lined up here. You want to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Between the 6th and 7th row is where I'm going to sew it. So right below the 6th row of shells, or above the 7th row. And then when you fold it over, it'll look like that. But you can change it if you want your flap to not be down so far. So it's completely up to you where you sew it. Yeah. I'm going to go, like I said, I'm counting down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's the 6th row and the 7th row. I'm going to sew right there. So just like this, with the right side facing me, I'm just going to neatly use my yarn needle and sew it all the way down. Just back and forth. I'm not going to go over, kind of like a whip stitch, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to go neatly sew it like this, back and forth. If you want to sew it together a different way, of course you can, you know, like slip stitch it together or something with your hook. You want to make sure you keep all your shells and your rows lined up, so look at them on both sides and make sure they're staying lined up. And just neatly go down, take your time, go down it nice and neat so it looks clean. Grab a stitch on this side, stitch on that side. Just like that. And just keep looking every so often and make sure your rows are lining up. And I'm going to sew it up like this on both sides. So I'm going to continue down all the way down this side, and then I'll clip my yarn, and then I'll turn it over, and I'm going to go to the other side and sew it together on that side. Okay, once you get it all sewed together there on the ends, you'll be able to flip it over like that, and then we'll sew a button here. Now for the handle, you can do any kind of handle that you want. You don't have to make it like a crossbody like I did, or like I'm going to. You can make it shorter or longer. You can put 2, you can put 1, however you want to do it. But for the handle, it's real easy. Set that to the side. Start with a long string, a long tail on your slip knot, so you can sew it in with that. Sew it on with that. But all you do is you start out with a chain of 7. And then in the second stitch from the hook, you want to do a single crochet. And then you want to do 1 single crochet in every stitch for the length of the chain. So it should be 6 single crochet. like that. And then you want to chain 1 and turn and go right back into this very first stitch and single crochet. And then again, it's just 1 single crochet in every stitch across until you get to the end, and it still should be 6 single crochet. So all it is, it's just rows of 6 single crochet. That's what my handle is. And then you just chain 1 and turn. Start by going back in that very first stitch, single crochet, and you just continue doing rows of single crochet, 6 single crochets in each row. And I did a total of 142 rows. Now you can do more if you want, or you can do less, however you want to do, but just tie it off and leave a long tail at the end, so you've got a long tail at both ends so we can sew it on to the bag. Now sewing it on, just use our yarn needle, and I'm going to sew it like right here, half onto this and half onto this. So I'm just going to take it and put it right about here and sew it really tight. You can put it down in there a little bit if you want, like that. And I'm just going to go back and forth the same way we sewed it together, sew my handle on. But I'm going to sew it on really good, so I'll probably go back and forth a couple times because you don't want it to come undone. So I got half of the handle on this side and the other half is going to be kind of on the flap. And I'm going to sew the other one, the other side of the handle in the same spot. Once you get it sewed on once, it'll hold, so you don't have to keep holding it there. Just make sure you get it sewed on good and tight. Like that. And then when you fold it, it'll be halfway on the flap and halfway on the handle, or on the main part of the bag. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing this up. I'm going to go across it a couple times sewing it so I know that it's not going to come undone in case you carry heavy things. Now I'm just going to go back down and do it again. And then I'm going to sew the other side on the same way. And then we'll sew our button on and we'll be done. Now when you close it, there you go. That's what you want. It's halfway between the half of it's on the flap and half of it's on the bag part. Okay, I got my handle sewed on, and one last thing I did, I just sewed a button on with a piece of yarn and a yarn needle, just even with the flap here, so it can hook to it. Just like that, and that is all there is to it. I hope you enjoy my tutorial. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and you can check me out on Facebook, follow me on Pinterest and Twitter, or you can come check out my Etsy shop. I'll put a link to all of them below in the description box. And until next time, have a good day.